This is the Dynasty Roundtable podcast. And, we like to riff. We like to not always do things the way that other people might do them. So tonight, I don't know if we're going to do one episode or two. It just kind of depends on how this first one goes. So might get two bonus episode. I don't know. But for sure, we're going to talk about, since it's the trade deadline in a lot of dynasty leagues, week 12, I feel like is either week 11 or week 12. Some dynasty leagues don't have trade deadlines. We're going to be talking about what you should trade your first round, second round picks, rookie picks, what players you should be targeting for those players. And then we're going to go down a list of players and say, would I trade a 2026 early first round pick for X player? And we're going to give you kind of that analysis as well. But Matt Babich, before we start, how are you doing? Is there anything that you need to get off your chest before we start the show?
Listen.
Oh, no.
There was a certain college prospect at the quarterback position that I'm not going to call them hot take artists, but if you had JJ McCarthy as your QB1 coming into the season, I'm sorry, but you're either a hot take artist or you got to heavily revisit your process going into this upcoming class, because I'm ready to call him a bust.
Wow.
The hate watch on JJ McCarthy has been glorious. And breaking from character for a minute, I actually have been rooting for him this season. It's not really actually that fun to root for someone's career to end. So when I say the hate watch and when I it's not, it's real, in a sense where I stood on business and I said that I wasn't super into him. I did capitulate at the end because there were times where I was like, you know what, I might be wrong. I do think his quarterback, around 20 evaluation was a pretty fair evaluation, earlier into the season when I was saying that I would potentially buy him. And in Superflex, when you have a guy in a Kevin O'Connell system with guys like Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, obviously surrounding him, the talent level does not have to be nearly as high as it does in other situations. But JJ McCarthy, man, he had 50 bad minutes against the Bears and 10 good ones. And what did the pro JJ McCarthy crowd, they kept coming out and say, hey, he's a winner. He's not a bust. He's a winner. Well, you know what? Seth? You know who else was a winner but a shitty quarterback? Tim Tebow. He was a winner. Didn't mean he was a good quarterback. I'm not comparing JJ McCarthy to Tim Tebow.
Oh, it's already done. You've already done it. It's too late now. The ghouls and goblins are going to come for you.
It's just a fact that being
Fantasy
a winner,
receipts. Where is he?
Here's the thing.
Coming out of the bushes.
Maybe it's 9. Maybe 9's the bust, and JJ McCarthy is still in there somewhere. And that's the thing, is right. Man, I wanted to root for this guy. Seems like a nice kid. Going through some injury struggles, and then he comes out talking about his alter ego, without proving anything in the NFL. And I'm like, man, you can't be that corny. If you're going to be corny, you got to be good. Like Keenan Allen, who also came out and did some corny bit on how he has an alter ego. I can't remember what his nickname was. I think he called it Slayer or something like that. That's corny, but that's an incredibly talented receiver who's 13 years into the league. Keenan Allen has a right to be corny. JJ McCarthy doesn't. So it's an interesting point now in his career where you got to think about potentially selling JJ McCarthy for what you can get before it's too late. If we look at Keep Trade Cut, he's still quarterback 20. And I just don't think he's shown anything. And take Justin Jefferson for that barometer, right? When Caleb Williams was struggling, I don't think we even saw the level of frustration at the quarterback from the playmakers around him that we are seeing with Justin Jefferson. There was a lot of frustration in the Bears organization around the play calling, around Shane Waldron, around Matt Eberflus as a leader. but it never seemed as directed. I mean, he's throwing his hands up in the air after routes. He's slamming his helmet on the ground after missed passes. He looks terrible. So I think I was right about JJ McCarthy. I think I was right. I think we got to be looking to sell. And that being said, he's still a human. I'm still a human. I don't want his career to end, but I do relish a little bit, maybe a lot bit, of being right with my assessment of the guy who threw 3 picks against Bowling Green and threw 10 passes in a championship game. Maybe Seth, it's really easy to be good on third down when you have the best defense and the best rushing attack in college football. Because that's how he was propped up. Is, oh, look at his stats on third down. Okay, cool. You can get any average college quarterback to be successful on Michigan on 3rd and 5. It's just, do you agree with what I'm saying, or am I being too harsh?
I mean, how many starts has he made in the NFL? I mean, 3 or 4 at this point. I mean, he's been hurt for most of this year. I'd look. So I'm looking at the stats for both of these quarterbacks, and this is actually kind of fascinating if you care about this stuff. So JJ McCarthy, the story on him is, oh my God, he had a horrible game. And watching the game, yes, I agree with you. I think he had a really bad game. 16 of 32 for 150 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Caleb Williams, on the other hand, 16 of 32 for 193 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. So it's not like Caleb Williams was playing much better either. Now I will say that
one's a Brian Flores defense and the other is the Bears defense.
True. Now I will say there were quite a few really bad drops the Bears had. I think at least 2 or 3 that I remember. One from DJ Moore that hit him right in the chest. I mean, and then he almost dropped another one, but that's beside the point. I think so. JJ McCarthy, I think we need to give him some more time. And right now, I mean, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire a little bit. Would you take JJ McCarthy or Michael Pittman in Dynasty?
I mean, that's situation based, but from a neutral standpoint, I would take JJ McCarthy over a 27-year-old receiver.
Because they're ranked back to back in keep trade cut. Now, to be fair, I don't agree with that assessment that keep trade cut has. I think JJ McCarthy should be higher. Like, what about this? What about Jordan Addison or JJ McCarthy? I guess that's not really a great question because one of those receivers is tied to JJ McCarthy. How about Colston Loveland or JJ McCarthy?
Tight end premium or not tight end premium?
Let's just go tight end premium.
Colston Loveland.
Okay. Let's go Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. Jared Goff or Sam Darnold.
Jared Goff.
Or Jared Goff or JJ McCarthy. Okay. Trevor Lawrence or JJ
Trevor
McCarthy.
Lawrence. I'm not even thinking about those quarterbacks. It's easy.
Let's see. If you were a contending team, would you trade JJ McCarthy for Matthew Stafford?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to find the line. What about Cam Ward? Who would you rather have, Cam Ward or JJ McCarthy?
JJ McCarthy. We're nowhere close to we're nowhere close to that. Yeah.
All right. Fair. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Here's a question though. One I thought you were going to say Bryce Young plus or JJ McCarthy based on value.
I'd probably still take JJ McCarthy, but Bryce Young is quarterback 25 right now. JJ McCarthy's quarterback 20 according to Keep Trade Cut. I just wish Bryce Young would, even if he didn't have the game that he had this past week where he just absolutely fed Teteroa McMillan. Like I wish he could play the Falcons every week, but he can't. And I don't quite understand Bryce Young. You know, I just don't get it. It's just too inconsistent for me. I can't live with that. I can buy into the situation for JJ McCarthy and the fact that, he just needs some more time. Like I can buy into that. But with Bryce Young, he's been given quite a quite a bit of time to be as inconsistent and as bad as he's been. So,
but are the Panthers going to be bad
on
enough to move on to a different quarterback within the next few seasons? Because he just put up 450 yards in a win. And the Panthers have turned things around. I know we've seen that before. We literally saw it go like at the end of last year. And Bryce Young kind of went back into a pumpkin for a little while and has turned it around a little bit since. But I think what we have in JJ McCarthy is a game manager with the potential of being a game manager plus. There's nothing wrong with that. You could be a starter in the league for many years with that profile. But when it comes to fantasy football, I think his value, if he continues at this pace, I said it, if Wentz was still was still healthy, I don't think McCarthy finishes the season as a starter. I think he's in the Bryce Young situation right now, but they just don't have a backup to go to. They don't have even an Andy Dalton to turn to right now. If this were last year and Daniel Jones were on the roster, I wouldn't be shocked if JJ McCarthy were benched for Daniel Jones.
See, that's fascinating. Now, obviously, Daniel Jones got a better chance at a starting job with Indianapolis, but if he would have stayed in Minnesota, that's a fascinating question. Like, would Daniel Jones be starting games over JJ McCarthy?
Well, granted, they're 4-6. Like, if they would have been able to get to 5-5 with a win against the Bears, things would have changed a lot. And you're in the position where you need to win games. 4-6, bottom of the division, probably less realistic to envision a situation where their 7th overall draft pick gets benched. They probably will just roll him out and see what happens. But I do think he's in a similar situation where he's not playing good football right now. He has more interceptions than passing touchdowns. He's erratic. He's missing throws. He really struggles to throw to the outside of the field. He does need more time, yes, but when you have a more prolific prospect like Caleb Williams, you get a little bit more time baked into that. That's just the nature of the game. A guy like JJ McCarthy on a program like Minnesota, who still has the capabilities to be maybe not a Super Bowl contending team, but at least contending for a division title. His leash is not going to be super long, especially this fan base just had 14 wins with Sam Darnold and they let him walk in free agency. So there's just a lot going on right now. And I feel like the same might go for Michael Penix, where like he can't put it together. The Falcons traded a lot to get him. So I feel like both of them could potentially be on shorter leashes than we think for first round picks.
Did the Falcons trade a lot for Michael Penix? I honestly can't remember.
I thought that is something that came from my gut.
Okay. I think they were just picking 9th overall that year and they took him out of nowhere. But I could be
you
wrong
might be
about
right.
That.
I saw that who did they trade? We don't have to figure this out now, but LA has Atlanta's first round pick.
Yes.
Did they trade back up for?
They traded up for a pass rusher.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dallas Turner?
No, not Dallas Turner. That was this past year. The Dallas Turner was the draft, that Caleb Williams' draft.
Regardless, I got it mixed up. I was thinking for a second that they traded up for McCarthy.
Yeah. Anyway, now that we're 15 minutes into the show, let's get.
It's an interesting topic. I mean, it's it's a 7th overall pick who's not performing well.
7th, 10th overall pick, right?
Penix was 10th, I thought. McCarthy was 7th and went before Penix, or 9th. One of those.
No. We're mixing up our draft classes.
Man, I came in hot, and now the chat's gonna be like, "Oh, this guy doesn't even know the fucking draft." Yeah, you're right. 110, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, because he was drafted in the same draft class as Caleb. Yeah, 2024. Anyway, let's get on to the core of the show tonight. So we're going to start with the 2026 early first round picks. We're going to give a player that we would trade a 2026 early first round pick for. And then we might go through some players, or we will go through some players and say whether or not we would trade a 2026 early first round pick, mid, late, and then we'll go to the second round picks as well. So I'll give my take on the 2026 early first round pick. So my early analysis of the 2026 rookie class is as follows. I think that there are some elite options at the top. I think Jeremiah Love is elite. I really like what I've seen from Mekhi Lemon. I think Fernando Mendoza could surprise some people at the NFL level. I haven't dug into the tape as much as I would like to yet, but that is coming. I think Jordan Tyson's really good. Carnell Tate is really interesting. So to get me to move off of one of these early first round picks, you're going to have to do a lot. You know, you're going to have to come at me with a bold offer. So if I'm and like if you have a 2026 early first round pick, you also got to think your team's probably not in great shape. So you're likely thinking, I want to break this up into multiple assets, which you should probably hold on to that until close to the rookie draft, if not when you're on the clock, because it's only going to gain value over time. But, you know, maybe you're a savvy dynasty manager and maybe you traded for a bunch of 2026 rookie picks and now you're a contending team and you have them to trade. You would need to, in my opinion, give me a player like Rashee Rice. Like, I think you would have to say Rashee Rice for a 2026 early first round pick, because right now on Keep Trade Cut, the 2026 early first round pick is 34th overall. You know, Nico Collins is sitting there at 33. He's one of the players we'll talk about here in a minute. But like Tetero McMillan, Rashee Rice, that's the caliber of player that I'm gonna need if you're gonna get me off of a 2026 early first round pick. I know that's asking a lot, which means I'm probably not getting the trade done. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, where obviously things change if you're a contender, but odds are in the average league, the people picking in the top of the draft are people who are either, you know, are more in the middle of the pack that made a trade, or more than likely people at the back end or the lower end of the standings that have, you know, they're keeping their own pick. So when you start naming some of these people, you know, especially a guy like Nico Collins, who's, you know, 27 years old, and this Texans offense has really struggled to gel this year, it becomes a lot more difficult for me to start letting those picks go, especially because, you know, the class has gone through some ups and downs in terms of their evaluation, but odds are you're usually better with sticking to your guns and using that draft capital, or acquiring some younger assets.
Yeah. And, you know, if I'm a contending team and I somehow have a 2026 early first round pick, I mean, and I need a wide receiver, you know, I'm thinking long and hard about Nico Collins because I think he has some good weeks ahead of him. But yeah, you're gonna need to do a little bit better than that just for me. I think another interesting one is Trevion Henderson. And my concern with Trevion Henderson, I know we've talked about this before, because Trevion Henderson is ranked really close to a 2026 early first round pick. I don't trust the Patriots to do the right thing, Matt. The more I think about it, the more I get this sinking feeling in my stomach that Ramondre Stevenson's going to come back and it's going to be a 50-50 split again. The genie should be out of the bottle. We've talked about this. But I'm going to need to see Ramondre on the field, and I'm going to need to see Trevion Henderson take at least 60% of the snaps before I feel really good about him as an elite asset, because he should be an elite asset, in my opinion. Like, I still think he's a little underrated, but I just don't know if I trust the Patriots. So potentially you could get me to move off of a 2026 early first round pick for Trevion Henderson. To me, that would kind of seem like a lateral move. Like, if you have the 2026 early first round pick, so I probably hang on to it. Like, even though I love Trevion Henderson, but what do you think about that?
I'm in on Trevion Henderson. I completely understand the concern, but I think what happens is price of the brick going up. If you play that bet on Ramondre Stevenson and he comes back and you're wrong, and it is a 60-40 kind of takeover, that A, sets the precedent for next season, and B, is going to bump up his value, because I think that's where he's kind of floating right now, where he kind of has a value cap upside until we see what happens when Ramondre Stevenson's back. And he did sign a contract extension, but they could technically cut him next offseason for a $450K loss on the salary cap. So not something you would predict happening, certainly. But they could save $2 million by trading him pre-June 1st. They could save $2.7 million releasing after June 1st and $6 million trading after June 1st. We saw this running back class come in and kind of be a disappointment. This upcoming running back class isn't necessarily, it's definitely not nearly as coveted as this previous draft class was at this time last year. I would not be shocked if Ramondre Stevenson becomes a trade target in the offseason. This is their guy. Ramondre cannot do these things that Travion is doing. He can handle a 25-touch workload, and I think we start seeing that transition now that some of these bumps that were keeping Travion Henderson down, like his, using his vision properly, the pass protecting, have kind of gotten behind him a little bit. He shrugged that off, and I think we start seeing this takeover happen. Mike Vrabel is a workhorse back kind of guy. Not saying he goes in and says, I'm going to give, whoever I want a workhorse role, because that's how I do things. But when he has that guy who can take on that workload, he's not necessarily going to use Ramondre Stevenson just because he's there. He'll put the best player on the field, and if Travion Henderson continues doing what he's done over the past 2 weeks, that will continue to be him.
Yeah, I hope you're right. It's taken him a long time to figure it out is all. So I know these old curmudgeons, they don't like rookies, but anyway, I'll just go through a few names real rapid fire, and you can tell me yes or no, and then I'll do the same. Rome Odunze for 2026 early first.
No.
I'm going to go no as well. Bucky Irving.
No, but it's
I'm going to go
choice.
hell no. I'm going to go hell no on that, actually.
Talent makes me want to say yes. The profile surrounding the talent makes me want to say no. With all of his injury history, do we really see Rachaad White and Sean Tucker continue to take a permanent back seat? And I think that's what was propping up Bucky so much, was his, 70% opportunity share or whatever it has been.
Yeah. James Cook.
Contending team, yes. Rebuilding team, no.
I'd consider it for a contending team, but I would really push hard to get a little bit more. Because I just like the top end of this 2026 class. I know I'm probably on an island. Last one, Quinshon Judkins.
No.
I lied, and I'll say no too. I lied. CMC. Last one.
If I can do it right now and I'm a contending team that has an early first round pick, yes. It's crazy, but I'd sell my soul for a championship.
I would have to have. I'm gonna say no, but it depends on the situation. Like CMC would be the one player like that could push you over the edge for a championship, and I'm all about.
If you had like
championships,
if you had like 2 first round picks last year, let's say you're a rebuild, you made a lot of trades, you're rocking like you have a value in Travis Etienne or like Javonte Williams that you got lucky with, and you have Travion Henderson and like a Quinshon Judkins or something like that. Like if you're young at running back and you're fighting for a championship, I would absolutely do it, because he leaves you in still a really good spot to where you have your RB core.
All right, let's move on to the 2026 mid first round pick. Now these, at least in my opinion, again, have not dug too deep into the 2026 class, but the mid to late first round picks are the ones that I would be more willing to part with. We're talking about Ty Simpson from Alabama, potentially in this range, Denzel Boston, Jonah Coleman, Kenyon Sadiq. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Tight end from Oregon. Chris Brazzell, wide receiver from Tennessee, could be in this range as well. Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, just to throw out some names. I mean, there's some other ones we could mention as well, but mid first round pick, this is the range that I'm less certain of. So this is the range that, you could get me off of a mid first round pick. I've already traded what I think is going to be a late first round pick for a package that included Zay Flowers on a contending team where I really needed some wide receivers. So I'm just a 2026 first round pick right now is 54th overall, according to Keep Trade Cut. And I'm telling you, I would trade that pick. And I know that he's like injured, or like he says he's going to play this week. But if I could get a Josh Jacobs like player, if I could get, a Kyron Williams, I think that's probably a deal that I would make. If I could give if I could give a mid first round pick plus a little bit extra to get a CMC, I'm definitely doing that. But what are your thoughts here? Who are you willing to part with for a mid first round pick?
I think a lot of players, honestly. There's two ends of the spectrum here. If you're in the middle of the pack, let's just assume you're keeping your own pick here. If you're in the middle of the pack, you're either at the tail end of your rebuild or closer, to the part where you're trying to acquire pieces that can win now, and you want to be less risky in your first round picks. Because one thing that's a difficult kind of balance beam to manage when you're rebuilding is picks versus players. Picks are nice. We love picks, but what is one thing that we've talked about kind of over and over again in terms of our rebuild episodes, our trading episodes? It's the cycle of hype. And just because you have those picks does not mean it's always in your best interest to make all of those picks. That's why we want you to go out and get multiple firsts, because it gives you that flexibility to read the draft board. But if you're on the tail end of your rebuild, you're starting to get win now pieces, people that can compete. I'm looking at just some of the guys you have here on this list. Like, I want a Cam Scatterbo. Like, I want somebody who's kind of proven small sample size, but he's looked damn good so far. Chris Olave, he's getting an incredible target share. He's really been able to start to put it together more. And heck, maybe I owe you an apology for how much you were in on Tyler Shuck at cost. Not saying you were never saying he was going to be an elite guy, but he did not look that bad in his last game. If anything, he's at least willing to uncork it, and he's got a decent deep ball. That chemistry with his receivers has developed a little bit. That could really benefit Chris Olave. T. Higgins, anytime you can get Cincinnati, I know he's 27 years old, but if you're at the tail end of your rebuild, I really like that. Brock Purdy, I know he's gotten maybe a little hit to his value with Mac Jones, but it's far more likely that Mac Jones goes on and becomes a bridge quarterback option somewhere else than it does he or anyone else taking Brock Purdy's job. We saw it this week. Brock Purdy's the better quarterback. It is what it is. And we get that comparison now to where we could see Mac Jones play for a few games, and then we see how this offense looks when Brock Purdy comes back, and it is different. So I would take Brock Purdy over the pick in that scenario too. So I think Waddle, I've already covered almost all the guys in this list already for you, but I think Waddle might be a breaking point where there's a lot of uncertainty in Miami right now. So I might lean keeping the pick there and re-rolling on a guy that an organization really wants to go out and get.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation when you brought up Cam Scatterbo, because obviously he's out for the year, but I've traded for Cam Scatterbo on rebuilding teams. I think he's a perfect, like, obviously Malik Neighbors too, but I think Scatterbo, like, if you look at his, he's at player 60 on Keep Trade Cut right now. I still think he's a little bit undervalued because I think he was on his way to becoming a top 10 running back in Dynasty, easy, maybe even top 7 or top 8. That's the path he was on. And that offense, once they get everybody healthy, once they get a better coach in there, you would think Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterbo, throw in Wan'Dale Robinson, Theo Johnson. Like, it's not a bad offense. if they get a nice play caller in there, you would think that would be a pretty attractive job. But I agree with most of what you said. I think I would be targeting Devonta Smith. I know he had a bad game this past week, and that Philadelphia Eagles offense is just you don't know what you're going to get from it. And the defense is so good. So the situation isn't as good as you might think, but I still think he's been mostly consistent throughout the season. And you've been happy with the production overall that you've gotten from him. Chris Olave is another name. Again, these mid to late first round picks, you're going to find that I'm more willing to part with them because I'm just not sure at the moment. Like everybody that I'm listening to right now that I trust is saying that this class is not as good as other classes in recent history, and I'm inclined to believe them, but I still think that the elite options at the top could be really, really good. And so I'm less certain about this part of the rookie class. And so let's go to 2026 late first round pick. All right. So 2026 late first round pick, we're talking 75th overall, according to Keep Trade Cut. And we're talking around players like Jordan Addison, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, who I mentioned earlier, Colston Loveland. I mean, if you could re-roll that, I don't know if there's a tight end as good as Colston Loveland in this class, even though that tight end from Oregon's pretty good. So I am willing, and I'll tell you this, I don't know if it's possible or not, but if you could trade your 2026 late first round pick for Travis Hunter, according to Keep Trade Cut, you can. I know it's kind of like, re-rolling a player who's not going to play this year. So if you're a contending team, it doesn't really do you much good. But Travis Hunter is just a guy that I want. And right now, Travis Hunter is 67th overall on Keep Trade Cut. 75th overall is the 2026 late first round pick. So again, you're talking, at least according to Keep KTC, a little bit. You probably have to give up a little bit more, but I'm pretty willing to part with these late first round picks. Like I said, I've already done it for Zay Flowers, so I would do it for Zay Flowers too. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, this is where I'm kind of ready to empty the clip in terms of getting rid of the pick for a lot of different players. I think this is where, when I'm a contending team, I want to have, like I said, as little risk as possible. And a huge risk is betting on yourself as a scout. Let's look at the back end of the first round this year. RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson, Matthew Golden. Granted, Emeka Egbuka was thrown in there and he was a hit, but you can go back every rookie ADP draft class and you start to see, oh my gosh, these guys were getting drafted in the first round. Yeah, it happens every year. You can tell me I can get rid of that risk and take a guy like Travis Hunter, drafted second overall, or if I could take Javonte Williams and have the starting running back for a high-powered offense next year, or if I could have Chase Brown's a little riskier, but I'm still willing to have that conversation. Michael Pittman, Daniel Jones. You mentioned Colston Loveland, who I'd be willing to entertain that conversation as well. I think we can even expand this list and go, there's quite a few players that, granted, once you start going down the board a little bit, I'm going to want, plus on top of the player for the pick, but I would still rather take that value package than hold on to that first round pick. I've missed so many late first round picks. My hit rate is certainly, and as it is with most people, better in the mid and early round. The draft falls so many ways. I would rather, if I'm a contending team, I'd rather kind of put my fate in my own hands, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you mentioned Javonte Williams. He is technically an unrestricted free agent next year, but
there's no way he doesn't get re-signed after this year, right?
You would think that they would try, but I just wanted to make that official for the record. But yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. I think a lot of these names on this list that we've talked about, even Chase Brown, I think this Bengals offense is doing a lot better, even though that we had the weird game against the Steelers where Jamar Chase is spitting on somebody, but that's beside the point. I probably wouldn't trade him for a player like Xavier Worthy.
Agreed.
I just don't think that that's going to help you. Like, as long as Rashee Rice is on the field, this is why Rashee Rice is so awesome. I just don't think Worthy's going to get the attention or be as predictable. Better in best ball kind of player, but with just about every other name that you've mentioned, I agree. Let's talk real briefly about the second round picks, because it's hard to project out who is exactly going to be these second round picks. I can tell you, I could almost promise you, it's not going to be as good as last year. We're not going to get a Cam Scatabo falling into the second round. Jackson Dart was falling into the second round of some of my Superflex rookie drafts. Emeka Egbuka fell into the second round. So I feel very strongly that we're not going to get that type of player, but I could be wrong. But right now, according to some lists I'm looking at, we could be talking about Elijah Sarrett from Indiana, Jeremy Bernard from Alabama, wide receiver. We've talked about Chris Brazzell from Tennessee, Casey Concepcion. We could be talking about potentially Nick Singleton from Penn State or Katron Allen from Penn State. I could just Jadarian Price from Penn State. I could list a bunch of other names. Jacoby Lane from USC, wide receiver. We could go down up and down this list here, but I would be extremely willing to be parting with an early second round pick. And I think some really good targets would be, and I need to know how severe his injury is going to be, but I love the schedule for the Steelers down the stretch. So getting a guy like Jaylen Warren for an early or mid second round pick, I think is fair. And I think that's a guy you're going to want. I also love the Ravens schedule. So if you want to give your 2026 early second round pick and just go all in and go get Derrick Henry while he's cheap, I don't think personally you would have to give up an early second round pick. I think any second round pick right now would get it done for Derrick Henry personally. So those are two guys right there if you need running back. And then just throwing out a wide receiver, like, I don't know if you could get it done, but if you could get Devontae Adams for any second round pick, I think that's a move that could help you win a championship as well. So those are just a few names that I would throw out there that I think would be beneficial trades to make for both contenders and rebuilders. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I like the players you mentioned. I think this becomes an interesting discussion when we start talking about some other players on this list, because we have a fourth round, I think, rookie in Woody Marks and a seventh round rookie running back in Kyle Monangai on this list. And we're talking about in an early second round, we're talking about guys that are going in these early rounds. And so it's an interesting conversation of, do you take someone newer with better draft capital, or do you go with guys like Woody Marks and Kyle Monangai who are in decent situations? I think Woody has a better path to being a starter next year. Granted, maybe Joe Mixon comes back like fully healthy and becomes a thorn in his side. I'm more willing to take that risk with Woody Marks than I am Kyle Monangai, simply because DeAndre Swift has surpassed both of our expectations this year and is only 26 going on 27 years old. So there's still a decent amount potentially left on the bone there for DeAndre Swift. And then we get into some other guys like Troy Franklin, who was a later round pick. Not, a day. Was he third round? I'm probably should have looked this up before I started talking.
Yeah, I think he was.
You have a third round receiver, but he has shown a lot of promise lately, especially with that chemistry, with his college quarterback in Bo Nix. You have a former second round running back who unfortunately landed on the IR right at the wrong time when he finally had the backfield to his own, but hopefully comes back this year and shows something. I would definitely trade an early second round pick for Trey Benson, given his talent and situation. Dalton Kincaid, I think I might take the early second round pick and stay, just because I think his Josh Allen's a spread it around kind of guy, and Kincaid hasn't shown enough consistency for him to be somebody who I seek out to trade for at such a high price.
Fair. So I'll just throw out a few more names. Quentin Johnston for an early second round pick.
No.
Yeah, I would say negatory as well. Matthew Golden.
No.
No for me as well. Troy Franklin.
Yes.
I'm going to go no. He was a early 4th round pick, by the way, too.
You know what? Something was telling me he wasn't day 2. But I think I still would.
DeAndre Swift.
Yes.
I'm going to go no.
That depends on my team setup. If I am a true early 2nd round pick and I'm rebuilding, no.
Yeah. All right, let's move to mid and late 2nd round picks. Again, we could go through the names of these rookies and we will definitely cover them. We have months and months before the NFL draft, so you're going to get a lot of rookie content here, but a mid 2026 2nd round pick is currently valued on Keep Trade Cut at player 119 or position 119, whatever you want to say, sandwiched between Mason Taylor and Bashul Tootin. And to be honest with you, if I could get, and I know that this is going to sound sacrilegious, but Kyler Murray is player 114. First of all, this might lead to a more interesting conversation about Kyler Murray, but would you give a mid 2nd round pick for Kyler Murray? Because I think I might do it.
No.
No?
I'd rather try and package something else together.
Okay. I don't know what it was. I can't believe it's kind of hard. I guess he's a backup now, technically, and Jacoby Brissett's playing really well.
At this pace, I don't think he finishes. I do not think he finishes the season as Arizona Cardinals starter at this pace. Next season. Like I don't. If he keeps playing like this, he is not going to finish the year.
I would bring back Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett's been playing awesome. Like
they're going to
choice. If it's a choice between Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett, I think they've made up their mind already. To be honest with you, it's just like the Denver Broncos have already set the precedent. Like we're not too worried about eating this $80+ million dead cap hit. And it would be, I'll look it up right now to see what it would be, but it's pretty big dead cap hit if they just straight up cut him. But the Broncos have already showed us that it's possible to do that and compete in the near future too. So what were you going to say?
Yeah, just real quickly on that. Here's why they're going to bring Jacoby Brissett back. Neither GM Monty Ossenfort nor head coach Jonathan Gannon are tied to Kyler Murray. Neither of them had anything to do with bringing him into Arizona. I'm struggling to. Monty just joined, so I don't believe he is the one who signed Kyler Murray to his contract extension either. Nope. The moment you let after what Brissett's done, the moment you let him walk out, the moment you choose Kyler Murray, your butt's now on the line. You have now gone out and vouched for this man. And you have continued to show that you made this decision and now you are losing and they lose their scapegoat. If there's one thing we know about coaches, they love and GMs, they love a good scapegoat. And Kyler Murray is their scapegoat. Hey, this is what you guys gave us.
Yep.
This is what you guys gave us. If you want us to win, we have to go with someone else. And I think that's the route they're going down. And they're making that case in real time right now. I need job security because look what we can do with Jacoby Brissett out there. Kyler Murray's the problem, not us. And they are going to continue that stance all throughout next year.
Yeah, and Jacoby Brissett also gives them the option to essentially cut Kyler Murray because the dead cap hit for Kyler Murray next year is $53 million. Or wait a minute, $57 million. I'm sorry, which is nothing compared to what the Broncos did, eating an $80+ million dead cap hit, cutting Russell Wilson. I mean, like I said, the precedent's there. Jacoby Brissett is actually under contract for 2026 with the Arizona Cardinals.
I was thinking, man, I was just looking up his contract,
and he's only going to cost them $7 million. So they have a bridge to cut Kyler Murray, and they have a bridge to potentially draft a quarterback if they want to. They could stick with Jacoby Brissett. They could wait till 2027. Like, I don't know how many years this buys them. You know, if there's a quarterback in this class they like, I'm just saying that it's not unfeasible that they would cut Kyler Murray if they
I mean,
can't find a
according
trade
to
partner for him.
Spotrac, if they cut him after June 1st next offseason, they save $2 million.
Wow. I'm seeing right now on Spotrac that the dead cap hits $57 million. If
That's
they cut
I see that for pre 6-1 release.
Okay.
Post 6-1 release, it drops down to 50, and post 6-1 trade, it says it drops it down to 10. I would not be shocked if at some point next season, Kyler Murray is benched and he requests a trade. I think that's how this saga ends.
I just don't know who would trade for him. I don't. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't either, but
I can't.
I think that's where we're heading.
The Jets will probably draft the quarterback this year. The Browns, I can't see Kevin Stefanski. I mean, if I was Kevin Stefanski, I would prefer to either draft somebody or maybe bring back Kirk Cousins, who I have connections with. I don't know. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let's get to the late. Oh, well, first let's go through some names. We've talked about Kyler Murray a lot. David Montgomery, would you trade a 2026 mid-second round pick for David Montgomery?
No.
I'm going to go no as well. What about Josh Downs?
Yes. Oh, wait. Sorry. I would not trade my pick for Josh Downs. No.
Okay. What about Kyle Pitts?
Switched up.
No.
Pitts.
What about Khalil Shakir?
Maybe. I don't love that, but
Mason Taylor
as of right now.
Taylor.
Man, I would really hope I get some more clarity on their quarterback situation before I do it, but I am very intrigued with the talent of Mason Taylor and the potential he has.
Yeah, I'm going to go no just because I want to hang on to the pick. Jaden Higgins, I might do that. What about Jaden Higgins?
I would do that.
Yeah. All right. Late 2026 second round pick. So we're talking 136 overall, according to Keep Trade Cut. And we can real briefly go over this because honestly, I'm probably hanging on to the late 2026 second based on some of these names. But here's the big one, and I don't know if I put it on the list or not. So apologies if I didn't. Oh, I did. Look at me. Brandon Ayuk. Would you trade a 2026 late first round or late second round pick for Brandon Ayuk going forward? I don't know what you're going to get out of him this year.
I would. The upside just makes it worth it. He has so much more tangible upside than most to any prospect that's going to be available there. I know it's a risky bet, but giving away a late second as a contender is pretty low risk for somebody who could go back to being the wide receiver one on the 49ers. It's not good that he hasn't come back yet, but it's also not his fault that he's injured. So if he has to take a while to come back from a brutal knee injury so that he doesn't come back too early, gets re-hurt, and it becomes a problem, then I'll take that. But when we see him on the field, he's certainly worth a late second.
Yeah, I agree. I would trade a 2026 late second round pick rather for Brandon Ayuk. What about Stephon Diggs? To me, this is a slam dunk if I'm a contending team. Oh, I want Stephon Diggs.
I'll take Stephon Diggs now before the season ends. Obviously, once the season ends, the second round pick.
Yeah, if I'm a contending team, I want Stephon Diggs. What about Tez Johnson?
Second round pick.
Second round pick for me too. What about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt?
Second round pick.
Second round pick for me too. He's not the starter anymore on his own team.
Remember when you can get a first for him?
Oh, dude.
And we were saying, please sell while you can.
Oh, I remember that. I hope everybody I remember us catching some flack for that. I think it was Jerry Sinclair that said if you sell him for a second round pick, you would win like 9 out of 10 times or something. Some people, man, underestimate the wisdom of Jerry Sinclair. And I hope he's watching this. And comment, Jerry. Let us know. One more, or maybe a couple more. Tua Tagovailoa or a late 2026 second round pick.
Give me a late 2026 second.
Oh my God.
I just don't want any part of it, man. I don't.
All right. What about Jerry Jeudy or 2026 late second round pick?
Late second. There's a name on this list that I kind of want you to say because I think I have an answer you might not expect.
Wan'Dale Robinson.
I might take Wan'Dale Robinson.
I'm still good with the pick.
If with Jackson Dart / Jameis for the rest of the season as the wide receiver 1, you could do worse than parting with a late 2026 second if you're short some depth. Now, it's a little bit of an overpay. I do think on face value, it's a little bit of an overpay, but he's been putting up some good games and he has talent to where he doesn't necessarily fully drop off the face of the earth when Malik Neighbors comes back. Not fully convicted on that, but I think it's closer than you might think.
All right, fair enough. Let us know what you think in the comments. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, go join our Discord, go follow us on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD, at Babbage_Matt10, at FF Dynasty Table. Matt, any final words of wisdom for the people before we wrap up tonight's episode? And we are definitely not doing a second episode because I thought that this one might be 30 minutes, but we spent way too much time on JJ McCarthy. Way too much time.
You should not have offered for me to go into that.
I thought that might turn into a YouTube short that we could put that would be funny, but we went 13, 14 minutes on that. I don't know if the best editor in the world could turn that into a YouTube short. I don't know. Maybe a part of it. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It started that way, and then we turned into an actual discussion on, what should we think JJ McCarthy's value is? But I think my words of wisdom.
I'm buying, by the way. I'm buying JJ McCarthy.
I'm not.
All right, there we go.
So my words of wisdom today, it is getting close to rookie time. I know not all dynasty managers, believe it or not, are really that into college football, or at least to the degree where they're already breaking down film. So now is kind of the right time. Start finding, sources that you trust, start looking into these rookies more. Especially as we talk about these trades, knowing who you like and who you don't in this class is going to help inform what your particular decision is going to be. And, Seth and I are going to be starting our college talk soon. I think we did our first last season, or right around this time, we did our first rookie mock draft for the upcoming season. So a lot of prospect talk coming from us coming soon. So stay tuned for that. And it's time to start digging because rookie season is almost upon us, and it is ever so sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch that first mock draft and see how hilarious it is.
Nick Singleton's
it's live on the channel. Yeah, I think he is. It's live on the channel if you want to go check out.
I drafted Bashard Smith 11th or 12th. One of the two.
I remember that. Hey, man, you got to plant your flag. You got to respect it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers, especially this week, that he might play the Bears with a fractured wrist or partially fractured wrist or something. He's pushing to play. I don't care anyway. It doesn't matter. The Bears are going to wipe the floor with the Steelers. So anyway, bear down. And until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.